Welcome to tonight's Facebook Live about getting together and sharing with each other how we all work together during this time, how we can support each other, and how we can support ourselves as well. It's not an easy time, and so because of it, it's important to be able to feel as though we're not just in limbo. Hi Haresh, hi Juliet, Cynthia, Sonia, Orla, Marianne. Wow, you all came in together. Tracy, good to have you all here. At the end of last week, I threw out a challenge. I asked people to go and look at the list of suggestions that everybody had contributed and pick one, and then perhaps come back and share what your experience was and how it went for you. So I'm looking forward to having being able to see. So we've now got Karen, Bronwyn, Srupa, Anna, Clara, Glynis. Wow, okay, so I'm looking forward to discovering how you all got on, who took something off the list and did something with it. If you're happy to share, hi Olive, if you're happy to share, that'd be great. And then we can share it with everybody, talk about it. One of the things that Tony and I did was we found out from our local supermarket that the staff are not allowed to accept gifts. But in light of the circumstances, the store manager was quite happy to turn a blind eye if we wanted to purchase something for the staff that they could share. So there weren't any fancy chocolates, but there were biscuits. So what we did was Tony purchased some biscuits because he's our designated shopper, purchased some biscuits and handed them over for the staff to have for morning tea. It's not a lot, but it's a thought. And when he handed it over, the lady that he gave it to was really quite amazed that somebody would think to do something. It's the simple things, I think, that make the difference. Hi Pia, hi Anita, hi Elaine. Bronwyn says she contacted Woolworths PR and they said to contact individual stores to ask how we can support the staff. I think that seems to be the thing. I think the supermarkets are leaving it to the managers who know their staff really well to decide what could and couldn't work for them. But certainly the fact that the girl that Tony spoke to was so happy to receive it was amazing. Orla said that she had a look through the GoFundMe website, but she's not sure that it's the way to go. So many options. And I think that's what we're all finding. There are so many different possibilities that it's not easy to discern which ones will get the money. Yeah, I think that's very true. Going through official charities or organisations may be the way to go. All of you will have heard of Captain Tom, 99-year-old gentleman who walked around his garden, and at the last I heard he'd raised £26 million. 99 years of age, and he earned that money for walking around his garden, which I thought was fantastic. But the point I'm making is that the money is going to an organisation where all the charities are combined so that it can be distributed. That might be an option in other places too. What else have we got? Bronwyn said she rang her local store, but they didn't answer the call. Perhaps they were really busy, Bronwyn. It might be an idea just to pop in and ask somebody at customer services. Hi Belinda, nice that you could join us. Sarupa says she rang a woman in isolation and they talk as friends. It's not support, it's friendship. Interesting. Okay, that's good. Marianne took a video with commentary to go with it of the cows on my walk today and sent it to friends for a laugh. That's friends. What about people you don't know? You could post it on your Facebook page and then perfect strangers could have a laugh too. Juliet, definitely flowers make a huge difference to community services in the aged care mental health residential unit. So yeah, that would brighten up their day. That's a great idea. Srupa's saying that Captain Tom's got to 28+ million now, and he's made a record, apparently, that has gone to #1 in the iTunes charts. Anita found a place to assist via GoFundMe who used the money to buy food to cook for essential workers. I'm not quite sure what Pira and Haresh are doing. They're saying that they're doing that in Bali. Bronwyn and her sister made cakes and soup for neighbours and extended that to make 50 cakes for the refugee families supported by JRS. Glynis sent flowers to the home where her mum is being taken care of. The staff were really touched. What else could we do? And is there anything to do at this point? Is it about doing things like that? Or is it about how we are within ourselves and how that energy radiates out? Because I think it's both. I think it would be good to have tangible sharing. But I think it's also important that our own energy is taken care of. Marianne rang a lady from the op shop where she volunteers, heard she was ill, so offered to help her go to the hospital. That's good. Marianne can do that. Tony and I aren't allowed. We're old and decrepit, so we're not allowed to go out the door. Anybody over 70, and we are, can't go out and about and do things like that, which I find quite amazing. I'm not quite sure what Olive's saying here. She heard that families are in homeless accommodation. Perhaps you could clarify that, Olive, that would be good. Tracy, each time she went to the local supermarket, she thanked the staff individually for their service and that she appreciated being taken care of. That's good. Sarupa started a thank you page on Facebook where you can count your blessings and where you can make a list of what you're thankful for. It was good. Bronwyn contacted the local nursing home and palliative care hospital to get permission to deliver notes and posies of flowers for each patient. I think that's really good that you actually asked for permission, because we might assume that it would be good to have them, but not everybody's allowed. So yeah, that's really good. What else have we got? And oh, I don't know what's happened here. Worked with the local community care volunteer coordinator and offered a garden visualization to the aged care community. That's lovely. There's a lot that people are doing. I mean, we're just a small group and there's already an enormous amount being offered here. Where is it going to end? Everybody's doing this at the moment because there's a need, because we all want to work together, we want to contribute to what's happening, and because most of us know that the reason we're in this situation is that it's time for a different mindset, that we have to shift our consciousness if we're going to come out of this in a positive manner. But we also know, and if we don't, we're certainly being prompted to realise that the economic outcome of this is going to be enormous. In fact, they're now saying that it's going to be worse than the Great Depression of the 1920s. I don't want to cast a pall over things, but what I'm saying is that doing these sorts of things at this point of time is good. I saw something today that said, a psychologist said, it takes 66 days to change a habit or to create a new habit. So if you're in lockdown for 66 days, you've got a good chance of creating a new habit. But if you're not, how are you going to go when this finishes? What ideas do we have to maintain the consciousness that we're developing at the moment? Is it just about doing things for people now, or is it about looking at how we can start to create the kind of world we want to live in? Olive says it came to her attention it's extra difficult for families in cramped conditions, like a family of 8 in one hotel room, no kitchen, during lockdown. Stress levels are very high. Absolutely. Donating things to entertain both adults, but particularly kids. Well, I think it's got to be adults and kids, because if the adults are in a bad way, the kids will suffer. But donating things is good. I think that's great. Bronwyn asked a few of her friends with little kids to make art and cards for me to share with people in need. That's great. But it's got to be a way that we operate, as Elaine says, that we operate permanently. It's about sustaining a different way of being, not necessarily a new way of being, because we used to be like this, and then life got busy and we got caught up in it and we forgot. How do we sustain it? How do we move forward? Being open and collaborative, being generous with ourselves, our time, not just our money. Anita said, this has been eye-opening and would like to continue looking for ways to assist indefinitely. Yeah, where do we find a balance? Ola says she thinks it's about looking at our community first and seeing how we can contribute there long term, then seeing where that takes us. Juliet says also helping people to cope better with economics more sustainably in the long term. I think we have to look at being sustainable, full stop. Bronwyn, what is happening at the moment has really shown me where it's easy for me to put my energy into things that affect me personally. But my experience with the lady who needed a public toilet showed me that I can and must act for all. And that's the point, Bron. Absolutely. It's about being inclusive, not just of our friends and family, but seeing everybody we meet as a potential family member or friend. Sharon's writing and hoping that her writing's inspiring. I think we all have things that we can contribute. I personally feel that the energy itself is different since all this started. It's interesting, we have been told today that we have total lockdown, level 4, for another week. I don't have a problem with that. And then we're going to level 3, which Jacinda calls the waiting room, to see if at that point we have it nailed enough so that we can go to level 2. For me, the more I think about it, the more I meditate on it, the more I ponder, what it's trying to remind us is that we are social people before we're anything else. And it's interesting that it's the younger people, they reckon between the high teens and the early 20s, who are really struggling the most with the isolation. And I find it interesting because that generation seems to spend all its time on the internet or on the phone, chatting on social media, and not feeling the lack of personal interaction. Suddenly that personal interaction isn't there at all. And so it's given them an opportunity to step back and look. What have we all found that's been the biggest issue moving forward? Yeah, Juliet, Jacinda said a waiting room. It is like a frequency shift between levels. And it's interesting that over here, everybody talks about being in the bubble. something that we've all talked about for years in New Zealand now. Everybody talks about taking care of their bubble. It's really good. So Haresh says there's a large disparity between people who have enough and people who live by the hour. That's very true. There are certain segments of our world perhaps that are being totally ignored. Do we put convenience above our connection with others? I don't think we do. I think this is giving all of us an opportunity to stop and look at what kind of world we've allowed to develop. And is it time to look at what we can do to change it? And change doesn't need lots and lots of people. It needs a small group of people sharing a common vision, whatever that vision might be, and holding on to it. It's not about converting people. Srupa says to keep it empowering, as things will change again after lockdown, as in freedom to move will open up again, but we don't have to turn our backs on it. No, we don't. And that's my concern, that everybody's come forward now and we've all done really well. But when we're told that everything's okay, I think that's when the work begins, because at that point there will be an economic struggle, not a health struggle. Businesses will fold, other businesses will start, some businesses will transform. Gives us an opportunity to look at how we might perhaps set up our own businesses and how we support people to build. Glynis says it's not about getting to a place being caring, about getting to a place of being caring spontaneously, rather than, is it not about, thank you, is it not about, it helps if you can read, is it not about getting to a place of being caring spontaneously rather than having to think about what we can do? Absolutely. It has to become a habit. If it's a habit, we're all okay. Annam says she's made new friends in her community and had a social distancing party in our street last night. You know, it's interesting, we're not allowed to do that. We asked if we could do that and we were told no. So there's different rules according to where you live. Bronwyn said, finding solutions for everyone. Moving forward, my understanding of community has really shifted to, does it include everyone, whether we agree with or like them? Yes, it does include everyone. We don't have to like everybody. We don't have to agree with everybody. We have to create space for everybody. And community, if you have a community where people contribute what they can, not what they feel they should, then I think we've got a shift in consciousness. I think we need to take it away from should and make it, yes, we can. I think somebody used that phrase a few years ago to get elected as president. Yes, we can. So, Sharon, very interesting. Maybe we misunderstood the importance of young people's occasional physical contact along with social media. The young don't like being told what to do. I don't know that it's about telling them what to do. I think the fact is that we all go through phases growing up, that if you look back to when we were younger, there was a craze when we were younger that everybody jumped into, because if they're doing it, I need to do it. I think what this has done, because a lot of them have so much to offer that they're probably struggling with how they can establish themselves and make it work. This gives them an opportunity to stop and look at what's important for them and then take that forward. Bronwyn, I wrote to my local council and newspaper, and they in turn have contacted the police and New South Wales Health to discuss solutions for the public toilet situation now and ongoing. I think that's great. Over here, the long distance lorry drivers were struggling because all the public toilets were closed. The service stations, they could get fuel, but they couldn't go into the service station, so therefore they couldn't use the toilets. They're expected to drive for hours and they had no access to public toilets. As I understand it, that's now changed because somebody started talking about it. It's common sense. It's about looking at, yes, we have to be careful, but we also have to take care of each other in all ways. The community is the world environment too, it is. I think if we're stepping up and doing little things, lots of little things, regularly, then we become spontaneous at recognizing opportunities to share. If we have to make a list of things to do, forget it. It's a duty. It's an obligation. It's the little touches. You know, there's an old saying, treat people as you would like them to treat you. And I think that got lost somewhere along the way. But if we all did that, if we treated other people as we would like to be treated, I think the world would change. It would make a big difference. Does anybody have anything that they would like to chip in at this point? Any question, any suggestion, any thought that you'd like to share? And while you're all deciding what you want to do, I'd like to say that next Monday night, next weekend for us is Anzac weekend. It's a big date in the calendar. It's a bit like Remembrance Day in the UK. So it's a big day here and it's a big day in Australia. And because of total lockdown here, there won't be any Anzac Day ceremonies. We're not allowed to have more than 2 people meeting together in public at the moment. However, at midnight on Monday night, that's when our lockdown moves to level 3, and we can start to open our bubble a little bit, not a lot, to allow people in. So Monday night, I would like to put out the thought that if someone is interested in hosting this, to let me know. And I will sit and meditate, and Spirit will tell me out of everybody that's suggested who they'd like to work through, because I won't be doing this on Monday night. I'll be back after that, and hopefully we can start to open things up to more of a conversation around what do we do once things start to open up again. You know, how are we going to rebuild? We need to rebuild our confidence. We need to rebuild our mental health. We need to rebuild our sense of community. And if we do that, then we'll be able to move forward. Bronwyn said, spontaneity. By paying attention to what came my way, I could in the moment offer all I have. That is a beautiful way to look at things, Bronwyn. It's absolutely beautiful. Sarupa's wondered about going into politics, as we also don't want politicians. Don't forget it either. Very true. Juliet, how can we assist third world countries more where there is such high density risk of the virus spreading and we can't be hands-on in our offering of assistance? As far as I'm aware, Juliet, it's not hit Africa. They were showing a world map, and Africa seems to have escaped pretty lightly at the moment. That's not to say it's not going to happen. There are third world countries that are suffering. We can't help physically. We can connect to charitable organisations and ask if there's something that we can donate of ourselves, not just money. There might be things that we can create. In the same way that a group of us were getting together, if you remember, and knitting squares for blankets, which we'll be doing again this winter. So I think all we can do is contact the organisations that have everything already set up. I don't believe in reinventing the wheel, and see what they need and how they could be supported in the situations as they arise, and just play it by ear. see where it takes us. Yes, Annam, our Prime Minister, I think, is leading the way in her leadership. She's not going down very well with everybody overseas, and she's got her critics here too. But I think she's been transparent and she's been compassionate. That's always important. So Sonia says, some friends having family members as doctors or nurses feel guilty for having a normal life. How can we support them? By letting them know it's okay. That's all you can do, is to say to people that it's okay. If that's how they feel, it's okay to feel guilty. Because if you tell them not to, they're going to feel guilty anyway. But ask them what they could do from their normal life that would be appreciated by those that are on the front line. We've got a choice in this situation. We can either feel bad because we're not doing anything or enough, or we can look at where we're at and say, well, in this situation, what's the most I can do? What's the best I can offer? Tony and I can't go and help people. In the past, we would have been out helping. We always have done. But we can't at the moment. Not if we're to follow the lockdown rules. And we are, because it does save lives. But putting this together and getting people talking is doing something. Being available to listen when people have something that they want to get off their chests or to talk about is doing something. It doesn't have to be big. It doesn't have to be some great, wonderful thing. It's the little things that make the difference, that touch people's hearts, and that's what changes a community. So Olive is saying that there is lockdown in Cameroon, Africa, so it may be getting there. Yeah, I think you'll be right. I just feel that perhaps it's time as a group. We've tried doing the physical stuff, and I don't see why we can't carry on doing the physical stuff within the parameters that we're allowed. But why not as a group continue to send energy? We started the first meeting a couple of weeks ago by doing it. We ended the meeting last week by doing it. I'd like to end the meeting this week. But I'd also like to suggest that because we're creating this, I'm going to use a visualization now that I've used a lot with groups. And then during the week at any time, you can take it and you can use it yourself, and you will connect back to this energy. So you're feeding it. You're feeding it from one week to the next. Okay, so let's take a nice deep breath. I'm not going to answer any more what anybody's written. Let's stop at this point, take a moment, take a nice deep breath, and relax. And close your eyes and focus on your breathing. And as you do, be aware that you are standing in a column of light. And that column of light is the energy of your higher self surrounding you. And as you stand in that column of light, be aware that in front of you, another column of light is forming. It's very thin. It's very thin. It's beautiful, but it's very thin. And that column of light is the energy that Spirit is using to help all life forms on our planet. Open your heart and allow the light from your heart to connect to that column of light. And as it connects, become aware of many, many people, shoulder to shoulder, who are also opening their hearts and connecting to that column. And the column expands, becomes wider and wider. And in the middle of it, see the earth floating. Receiving, drinking in, absorbing the light that's being offered. And know that you are being a channel for the light of spirit to help our world. And now, let the image go, knowing that you can connect to that column of light at any time you wish and add more energy. So bring yourself back. Take a nice deep breath. Thank you. Thank you for being part of this getting together, for the sharing that you've offered, the ideas that have come forward, and for the energy that we've shared into the world tonight. As always, be well and go in love. Good night.